Movies like Kiss of the Dragon and Fist of Legend showcase the most dangerous version of Jet Li, because this is where much of the elegance disappears, much of the spectacle disappears, and something far more intimidating takes its place. The feeling that you are watching a man who knows exactly how to destroy his opponent. We do not see long exhibition sequences. We see explosive attacks designed to end the confrontation as quickly as possible. There are moments when it feels impossible to follow everything he is doing. He deflects a strike, controls an arm, changes angles, and lands a technique before his opponent even understands what just happened. Everything unfolds in a matter of seconds, and that is precisely what made Jet Li so special. His speed was not merely visual, it was tactical. Every movement had a purpose. Every step placed him in a more advantageous position. Every action seemed to bring him one step closer to ending the fight. But if there is one sequence that perfectly captures Jet Li's combination of speed, aggression, and precision, it is probably his legendary showdown against General Fujita in Fist of Legend. For most of the movie, we have watched Jet Li dominate opponents through technique, timing, and mobility. But Fujita is different. Fujita is bigger, stronger, more aggressive. He is the kind of opponent who tries to impose his will through sheer physical violence, and that is precisely why the fight works so well. While Fujita attempts to crush everything in front of him, Jet Li responds with something far more dangerous: precision. The fight begins as a clash of styles. Fujita constantly moves forward. He pressures. He attacks with brutal power. Every strike looks capable of ending the fight. But Jet Li never agrees to fight under those conditions. He moves laterally. He changes angles. He steps off the line of attack. He constantly forces Fujita to readjust. And then, something fascinating happens. As the fight progresses, Jet Li begins to increase the pace. His footwork becomes faster. His entries become more explosive. His counters become more precise. Little by little, the strongest man in the fight begins to look like the slowest. There are exchanges where Fujita has barely finished throwing one strike when Jet Li has already landed 2 or 3 attacks and is repositioning himself for the next exchange. It does not feel like a physical difference. It feels like a processing difference, as if one man is playing chess while the other is trying to solve arithmetic problems. And that is exactly why so many of Jet Li's fight scenes still feel special decades later. It was not just speed, it was not just technique, it was the ability to combine both under pressure. The ability to remain relaxed while his opponent became frustrated. The ability to turn every movement into an advantage. And the ability to make even the most dangerous opponents look as if they were fighting in slow motion. Because when Jet Li reached that state, when he found his rhythm and began flowing from one technique to the next, something happened that very few martial artists have ever managed to communicate on screen. He does not look like he is participating in the fight. He looks like he is controlling it. If there is one characteristic that appears in virtually every great Jet Li movie, it is not the kicks, it is not the punches, it is not even the speed. It is his ability to control space. While most martial artists reacted to their opponent's position, Jet Li seemed to control his opponent's position through his own movements. And once you start watching his fight scenes from that perspective, it becomes impossible not to see it. In Once Upon a Time in China, he rarely stands still in front of his opponents. While attackers try to surround him, Jet Li is constantly changing angles. He uses movement to turn a numerical disadvantage into a series of individual encounters. That ability to reorganize the battlefield through constant repositioning is one of the reasons why his fight scenes still feel so different today. The same concept appears in Fist of Legend, although in a much more aggressive form. Here, Jet Li uses space as an offensive weapon. Instead of remaining stationary and exchanging strikes, he constantly moves in and out of fighting range. What makes this film so special is that his opponents never seem comfortable. They never establish a safe distance. They never impose their rhythm. Jet Li is constantly forcing them to react. And the fighter who forces the other man to react usually controls the fight. But But perhaps the most elegant demonstration of this ability appears in Hero, especially during his legendary duel with Donnie Yen. Here, we no longer see constant explosions of speed. We see something far more sophisticated. Two masters fighting for inches. Every step has meaning. Every movement changes the distance. Every small adjustment completely alters the options available to both fighters. Jet Li seems to glide in and out of his opponent's range, as if he already knows exactly where the next attack is going to come from. It is a demonstration of timing, positioning, and fight IQ that very few martial artists have ever managed to communicate so naturally on screen. And that is where we find the real answer. Many people believe Jet Li moved differently because he was faster. And yes, he was incredibly fast, but speed was only the consequence. What truly made him different was his understanding of movement. He understood space better than most martial artists today. He understood distance. He understood angles. He understood when to enter and when to exit. And when you combine that level of martial intelligence with decades of Wushu training, the result is exactly what we see on screen. A man who appears to be operating under a different set of rules than everyone else. By mastering angles, he was not simply avoiding attacks. He was positioning his body precisely inside his opponent's blind spots, making every counterattack feel effortless and inevitable. His control of distance allowed him to stand mere inches outside his opponent's reach, maintaining complete composure while attacks cut through empty air. At the same time, his Wushu background infused his movements with a unique cinematic geometry. Wushu emphasizes extension, fluid transitions, and explosive rhythm. When applied to real-time fight choreography, it created something extraordinary, a perfect balance of pressure and release, where Jet Li controlled the tempo of the entire scene. He was not merely fighting his opponents. He was dictating the physics of the environment around them. Over the years, hundreds of actors have tried to replicate Jet Li's fight scenes. Some copied his kicks, others copied his footwork, others tried to imitate his most famous movements. But almost nobody managed to reproduce what truly made him special. Because the secret was never a specific technique. It was never a particular kick. It was never a single punch. The secret was in the transition. Watch any iconic fight from his career, and you will notice the same pattern. A slip becomes an angle change. The angle change becomes a dominant position. The dominant position becomes an attack. The attack becomes a new movement. And the cycle begins again. Everything feels connected. Everything feels like part of a single continuous sequence. It is as if his body is always several moves ahead of what we are currently watching. That is precisely why so many technically brilliant martial artists never managed to look like Jet Li on screen. They could perform the same techniques. They could throw the same kicks. They could even learn the exact same choreography. But when the moment came to connect one action to the next, the difference became obvious. Most fighters perform individual movements. Jet Li seemed to move inside a continuous current of combat. There were no interruptions. There were no visible pauses. There were no moments where he appeared to be thinking about what to do next. And that is exactly what creates the illusion of superhuman speed. Because true speed is not always about moving faster. Very often, it is about eliminating the pauses between movements. Because nobody else moves that way. Nobody else connects techniques with that level of fluidity. Nobody else changes direction that effortlessly. Nobody else seems capable of turning every inch of movement into a tactical advantage. And perhaps that is the true definition of mastery. It is not when people copy your techniques. It is when they spend decades trying to copy you and still cannot do it. Thank you for watching this video. Here is another one about the most brutal martial artists ever to step into Hollywood. Support the channel with your valuable like, share the video, and subscribe. I'll see you in that one.